Today with one of our exhibitors at Identity Week America 2024. I'm talking to Chris Collier, who's the technical business development lead at Swissbit. And they're a really interesting company that sorts security and storage solutions for industrial applications. As I mentioned, they'll be at Identity Week America in a few weeks. It's really great to speak to you today, Chris. We're just going to be overviewing kind of your products, how long you've been in the ecosystem, and the IAM landscape, as a whole, has gone through a lot of change in the last decade with the rise of FIDO, kind of replacing password solutions. So my first question is, how long have you been in the IAM technology space, and how has it evolved, in your opinion?
Sure. So Swissbit has been in business as a derivative of Siemens since 2001, manufacturing and providing security solutions for manufacturing, as you said, typically in the form of like USB storage, other SSD type storage devices. 2 years ago, we implemented a manufacturing line for a multi-factor FIDO smart card and NFC security device, right? So in following the progression of multi-factor authentication with a goal towards passwordless authentication over the past 2 years.
This is a big trend in the industry with the transition from two-pass FIDO. Concerning multi-factor authentication technologies, which have been successful over this period?
Well, I think, so you mentioned the last 10 years, right? So what we saw maybe about 15 years ago was the apex of PKI smart card based authentication technologies. And within the last 10 years, there's really been no additional development or iteration into that technology. So it's kind of set stagnant for a while. But what we have seen in 10 years was a greater, more direction towards like the out-of-band authenticator devices, which leveraged smartphones. Think of your push notifications that you receive on your smart device, right? So that replaced a lot of the SMS passcode type technologies that still exist today, but are generally accepted as not secure. Following that, we've seen adoption of biometric technologies, which evolved from more of a centralized, fingerprint biometric identification system to more of a distributed architecture where, again, with these smartphones, you can leverage fingerprint like Touch ID, for example, and now Face ID. So a more distributed model. And with the distributed model, we see FIDO come into play, where an authenticator device is actually a physical authentication token, I refer to as a security key that can be leveraged for multi-factor authentication. From that, we engage with the FIDO2 technology and standard from the FIDO Alliance that allows for the passwordless authentication. And so what we've seen now is a way to merge passwordless and FIDO as a multi-factor authentication mechanism that is distributed to the individual user. The individual user can perform self-enrollment. They can register an authenticator device against their applications or any service that supports FIDO2 without requiring any centralized infrastructure to support that.
And you mentioned it allows the individual to have access to multiple services. This is the modern authentication solution out there. What's Swissbit's showcasing for the very first time at Identity Week? You've got an iShield Key Pro series technology. Can you tell us a bit about what it is and what different, sets it apart from other products?
Certainly. I mean, so it's a USB and NFC device for user authentication, right? And it leverages even though it's one single device, there are several different technologies embedded into it, right? So the objective with the iShield Key Pro is to support the use case, like I mentioned earlier, for smart card login, right? So it is what I would refer to as a smart card on a stick. If you have a PKI infrastructure, you want to use digital certificates to authenticate to systems like Microsoft Windows, or if you want to sign electronic emails through SMIME, using Outlook or Google Workspace, et cetera. Or for really importantly for system administrators that are authenticating to all of their network devices, right? So we have 40,000 networks in the United States that function, that support the internet, and over 1 million network devices, right? So the PKI component, the certificate-based login features, are still important for network administrators, but they're not necessarily all that valuable to end users, right? So there's also the FIDO technology. We support FIDO UAF, FIDO U2F, and now FIDO 2. And with FIDO 2 specifically, we provide the end users the passwordless experience for authenticating natively to websites that adopt the FIDO standard, natively to operating systems that adopt the FIDO standard. And in addition to that, the NFC capabilities that support mobile devices. So, for example, when you're trying to create a consistent experience where you leverage FIDO2 across an application or an organization, they may access that application through a web browser like Chrome. They may access an application from an app on their smartphone. So we have an NFC interface to support a very consistent user interface across how the application is accessed. And we also have a contactless interface to support physical access. So those are the door readers that you see and that you use your card to access when you're going in and out of your office building or other secure areas. So that's a PKI interface, FIDO 2 interface, NFC interface, and a contactless, let's call it MyFair 13.56, most common contactless interface for physical access, all in one single USB device.
Wow, that's amazing. I can see why you're involved in the show now, and looking forward to you attending and exhibiting there. Yeah, we're going to return on the 11th and 12th of September. See you there.